This is your reminder that the BBC has yet to address the consistent transphobic leanings in its news coverage, and while the team behind Doctor Who is not connected to this in any way since this is a BBC-owned property, I'm going to keep pointing it out until the problem gets resolved. Links in a pinned comment below if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'll stop saying it when it stops being a problem. Well, I got a lot to catch up on. Yeah, so with the strike wrapped up, basically, I talked about that earlier this week. I can start talking about Doctor Who as I normally do. The situation I was under before was I could still do reviews of new stuff. So with the specials coming up, I was obviously planning to do that, but I wasn't talking about anything else. None of the news, the promotional material, none of that. And a lot has gone on that I have not talked about. So this will not be comprehensive, but I'm going to touch on a handful of things that we have learned or have happened since I've stopped talking about Doctor Who. I'll give my brief thoughts, and then I'm going to get to what the title and the thumbnail teased, which is the overall concept of the Hooniverse, which, if you've been here a while, you should already know I'm a bit nervous about, and that hasn't changed. But we'll get there. We got a lot of individual things to go first. First of all, somewhat to my surprise, Disney is not going to be getting, at least not initially when they start airing the new episodes of Doctor Who, they're not going to be getting the new Who rights to stream those. Those stay at Max. Now, like, if you're in the UK, it's all on BBC iPlayer. Done. You're all set. If you're in the US and possibly other territories, but definitely in the US, Classic is still on BritBox and also Tubi now, I guess. What has been up to now been called the Modern Era. We're going to have to figure out something else to call it now for a reason I'll get to in a minute. But series 1 through 13 specials included, that's still on Max, where they had been going for distribution in the US on streaming. And now the new stuff, starting with the specials, will be on Disney+. As I said, I was a little bit surprised. I think I kind of assumed that the rights for the Modern Era of Doctor Who would have come with what Disney had gotten. I guess it makes some degree of sense that Max had distribution streaming rights for the shows past when they were getting new ones. That still struck me as somewhat odd because, like, to be honest, the streaming rights for the previous series aren't as valuable if you're not also showing the new stuff. But apparently there's a longer time on Max's rights for the streaming than, their ability to air the brand new stuff. So they're going to keep it for now. I'm still a little surprised, even after finding that out, that Disney didn't pony up and just buy them out from Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean, Warner Brothers Discovery has been selling a lot. They probably would have been willing to. I guess it was a calculus like, we'll just wait, except that, one of the main things that tends to be a big part of mentality for many often bad decisions within studios is the idea of anything benefiting the competition. And yeah, the viewing numbers for the old stuff on Max is probably going to go up because interest has gone up as new stuff airs. And so it's less odd to me. Like, it's distinctly possible that for what it would have cost them to buy the rights to get them away off of Max and onto Disney, that it probably might have cost more than what they would have earned off streaming those specifically. Like, it might or might not, or it might have been close. But I would have thought they would have done it anyway, if only so that the bump doesn't benefit Warner Brothers Discovery. Apparently not. How long is it going to be until all this moves over to Disney Plus? Don't know. At this point, don't know. So that's a bit annoying. We have official word that Ncuti Gatwa's first batch of shows is going to be called Season 1, which that's kind of what I said. We got to figure out something to call Modern Era Doctor Who, or what has sometimes been called New Who. It's obviously not now. Now it's a sectioned off thing. We now have Classic Who, which ran from 63 to 89, and now we've got whatever we want to call this past thing, running from 2005 to 2022. Yeah, because it was last year that Power of the Doctor came out. And now we have another thing that is just going to be season 1. I'm not super shocked by this, given, again, the move to Disney and the branding, especially if they're not getting the rights to stream the other stuff earlier. I'm not shocked that that there's a desire to have it marked as season 1. That having been said, there's another thing that came out. That does not mean that people should assume that it is disregarding any continuity, including The Timeless Child. I've talked about this before, that I don't think The Timeless Child is worth retconning. I think it's a terrible idea, and I think they should just leave it alone. And Russell T Davies kind of validated my opinion on that. I mean, he didn't say it was a terrible idea. He was much more diplomatic because, he said Chris Chibnall is his friend and his colleague, and he's not going to go out of his way to erase all that. Now, some people actually weirdly interpreted what he said to mean that he was going to do something and build off of The Timeless Child. He did not say that, and I would be shocked if he does. Minor correction, I guess RTD did say that there would be an acknowledgement of The Timeless Child in one of the upcoming specials, but I personally am reading that as basically just a line referencing the events, probably nothing in depth, but we'll see. He actually, in his statement, did bring up the Doctor has a human mother thing from the 8th Doctor TV movie that nobody has touched since because nobody knows what to do with it. Also, nobody's gone out of their way to retcon it because you don't have to. Just ignore it. Move on. That's what I expect he's going to do with The Timeless Child. That's what I said he should do with The Timeless Child. So that's perfectly fine. I'm good with that. There was a release of a couple of tracks from Murray Gold's upcoming soundtrack. We got to hear the theme that's going to be used for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, the track called 15, theme for Ruby Sunday, the companion, the upcoming version for the main theme for the titles, and it's fine. It's Murray Gold. It's what it says on the tin. I'm not super pumped about it, to be honest. Like, this is with the caveat that I expect pretty much all of it is going to play better within the context of a story. I tend to think of Murray Gold's scores a bit like I think of John Williams, because if you've ever actually sat down to listen to a John Williams score front to back, there's got to be sections of it that played fine in the movie, but like are not super pleasant or like great to just listen to. You'll get that in Star Wars, like just these weird little things that they'll happen with the music, and they work in the films because there's context for them, but like just to listen is like, ugh. And I kind of get that feeling from Murray Gold in general, and I did very much with 15's theme. When it eventually kicked in around 2 minutes 20, I got big I Am the Doctor vibes, which I like I Am the Doctor, but this was kind of why I wasn't really thrilled by the idea of Murray Gold coming back. I've heard this. And I understand that people didn't all love the shift in tone that happened when we had Chibnall's era, and we had a different composer, and it was a very different approach to the music, going much more for ambiance than bombast, which is Murray Gold's thing. But like, just going back to this, it doesn't thrill me. It's fine. Again, it'll probably play better, and it'll probably also grow on me when I see it in context, and it'll become something that I probably get quite attached to over time once I have something to associate it with. In a vacuum, just as a piece of music, it's okay. Same with Ruby's theme, and the main theme is just, it's just series 4 again, isn't it? It's not exactly the same, but like it's that excessive amount of orchestration and going for that big orchestra sound that series 4 did. So it's just that. And I do like that, but okay. I guess people who are like, I need Murray Gold back are probably thrilled, but since that wasn't me in the first place, I'm just like, okay, that's fine. So that, all right. There's a lot of other stuff that was brought up. Now, a lot of what got talked about while I wasn't talking was rumors. I don't like to deal in rumors. I find them to be a waste of my time and my energy because 9 times out of 10, they don't end up being true in the first place. So I don't like sinking my thinking time into stuff that probably isn't even true. So don't ask my opinion on rumors if you're new here. But let's get to the spin-offs and the overall notion of the Hooniverse. I'm real nervous about this Because between the fact that we have, the word is multiple spinoffs in the works. One that we know for sure, there's a unit spinoff that's going to feature Kate Stewart as a character. And that, like, as a general premise, like, fine. Like, yeah, it'll probably be a less trying to be adult version of Torchwood, which is fine because attempts to be needlessly adult were some of the big problems with the first two series of Torchwood. But, you know, it's a spinoff, okay? And there's probably others being worked on. Actually, there's almost definitely others being worked on. And they've already started shooting Shudigatwa's second season. And we haven't even gotten any of the specials out yet, much less had a look at him in the part. Now, understand that when I say I'm nervous, it is not because I don't have some degree of confidence in Shudigatwa as a performer, in Russell T Davies as a creator, as a writer, as a person to head all this up. But moving forward with this much momentum, before we've seen anything, will only ever make me nervous. Because it's been tried a lot. And historically, it doesn't work. When you move forward, bold as brass, on multiple spinoffs and already shooting a second season, when you don't even know for certain that people liked the first season, heck, don't even know for certain that people like the specials, much less like the first season, that makes me nervous, because if anything doesn't land right, you have already committed to a bunch of stuff that people might not want. Now, I'm not surprised this is happening. Between the money that Disney is pumping into it and the desire just to sort of bring it up to sort of past glory, quote unquote, you know, when it was a little bit more ubiquitous than it's been in the last few years. And also probably Russell T Davies' own enthusiasm. Like, I understand doing this. I'm going to be nervous at every step. I'm just going to be. Because I've been doing this a while. I've seen what happened to Snyder's DC works. I saw what happened to the Dark Universe. I saw what happened to the Lego movie franchise. All this stuff that had, and that one was probably the best example because it had the most good movies that came out of it, but it was still diminishing returns across the board. And all because they had committed to these multiple things, either on the back of only one success or before they'd even gotten the first thing out. Like, you could argue that the Snyderverse was coming off the back of the success of Man of Steel, but Man of Steel was not as uber successful as you'd think they would want it to be for them to move forward with Batman v Superman and announce 5 years worth of films based completely in this universe and on this vision. And then Batman v Superman did not make the money it was supposed to, and everything went to heck. This is the same reason I am nervous about James Gunn and the DCU. This is also part of why I'm nervous about the current state of the MCU. Now, the MCU is the only thing so far that has made this big, interconnected, expansive thing in the realm of television movies work. But even they, while they hinted at the possibility at the end of Iron Man by having Nick Fury show up, they didn't immediately announce everything that they were going to be laying out. They built it up. They made sure stuff was working. Because if Iron Man had tanked, they weren't already committed to making up through 2 Avengers films and all the associated movies that were going to build up to that. They had already started doing some stuff that could be isolated and could be treated as self-contained if the connections weren't panning out. None of it was dependent until they got to the first Avengers movie, which was built up to. But everything since then is rushing into, okay, so here's our thing, and here's the spinoffs, and here's the additional stuff, and we're working on the second year. I'm like, you don't even know if people like it yet. And understand, I'm not coming into this with any reasons to not like it. I'm not going, I think it'll be bad and that's why this is a bad decision. No, I am very hopeful for this. I'm excited for the special. I'm excited to see Shudigatwa. I think it'll be good, but I still think this is bad way to approach these things. There is moving forward with confidence, and then there is committing to something before you have the slightest clue if the market is there. Yes, the fans are excited. The fans are always excited. But you are going so big on this, you've got to hook in a hell of a lot of new people. And you are moving forward already on stuff as if you know for a certainty that you're going to do that. And that scares me. That scares me with a property that I love, because I love Doctor Who. And I get scared even when it's in the hands of somebody who I have a lot of creative faith in, to do this approach, because the slightest bump, so much more money is going into this now than was the case before. Any bump has a possibility to ripple out and derail so much stuff now. It's not just a matter of, oh, okay, so that approach wasn't ideal. Let's adjust a little bit for the next season. Oh, wait, you already shot the next season and a bunch of spinoffs. And so now you're stuck with them. Whether or not launching this far, this fast was strictly Russell T Davies' idea, or whether it was being pushed along by Disney, Sony, the other, the BBC, all the major players involved, I don't know. But this feels like a corporate push. And that in and of itself makes me nervous in regards to anything connected with Doctor Who. Doctor Who has managed to retain a certain amount of scrappy charm to it, even at its height of popularity, even when it had spin-offs. And also, can we be real for a hot second? The spin-offs have never been very good. I'm sorry, Torchwood had one amazing series. It was Children of Earth, and the rest of it had a couple of highlights and a lot of crap. The vast majority of Torchwood is crap. Sarah Jane Adventures was sweet and cute, but if you weren't in the younger demographic that it was aimed for, which I wasn't, it was also something you didn't need and was very disposable. Perfectly inoffensive, perfectly fine, not mind-changing, not amazing. Class, I still haven't gotten around to see. Apparently it's getting a reevaluation. I guess it's not too bad, but it sure as heck wasn't successful. Seeing people get so excited about spin-offs, especially the idea of launching multiple spin-offs pretty much immediately, and this is the one room where I will tackle people saying like, ooh, they should do a spin-off with the 8th Doctor with Paul McGann. No, they should not. Don't get me wrong, I love Paul McGann. Don't split the fandom by having two competing Doctor shows going on at the same time. The spin-offs are not necessarily a competition because it's based off that, but you give an alternate Doctor, and now suddenly everyone who doesn't like this Doctor flocks over there, and it becomes a fan war whether you design it or intend it to be or not. No, that's a terrible idea. I love Doctor Who. But when it starts getting this big, on the basis of stuff we have not seen, I'm going to be scared and I'm going to be nervous. And I want to be wrong. I want every single concern, every nerve that I have, all this. I want to be wrong across the board. I want to see the specials and have nothing but joy. I want to see Ncuti Gatwa's first season 1, and just have nothing but a huge smile on my face and needing more. I want the spinoffs to feel like they actually contribute something and are better than the spinoffs that we got last time they tried to do this. I want the whole thing to just fly and be amazing. But I can't guarantee it's going to do that. And until I see that it does, I'm going to be nervous. I'm not trying to drag down anybody's enthusiasm. But I've seen what happens when would-be franchises push this much, this fast before we've gotten thing 1. And yes, you could try and argue with me, well, Doctor Who is a proven property. Yeah, so was most of the stuff that was supposed to launch a massive universe and didn't. This approach, by and large, has failed. And so seeing a failed approach applied to a property I love is going to make me nervous. I'm still going to hope. I'm going to hope against hope that it beats the odds. But I've got nerves. And they're not going to go away. My nerves will probably remain up until seeing Ncuti Gatwa's first season. And if the specials are really good, and if that first season is really good, I can probably calm down. Because at that point, even if the spinoffs aren't great, I know that they didn't accidentally skimp on putting resources and effort and creativity into the core thing and blew it on this side stuff. Because I just need that reassurance that they haven't lost sight of the core of the main show needing to be really good. As long as they can do that, if they can deliver that, then at that point, I don't care if the spinoffs suck. Well, I care a little. I wouldn't care much. But moving this far, this fast, always going to make me nervous. And if I just made you nervous, I'm sorry. But this is just my brain. What are your thoughts on any of this? Was there any news that I didn't address that isn't a rumor that you want to ask me about? Drop it down in the comments and maybe I'll reply. Or whatever your thoughts are, let me know. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living. It's why I can afford to get Disney Plus and actually see the new stuff when it airs, amongst other things. There's other stuff I do down in the description. Don't worry too much about it, though. What I really want you to remember, whether you're excited or whether you're nervous, you are beautiful. You are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings, and until next time, this council is adjourned. Time to thank some patrons, and this time I'm going to say their names as if I'm greeting them, welcoming them to a party. Robin Moore, Zubin Lafula, Goddess Elida, Turok, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Ruth, Gozer the Gozerian, Oliver B., Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Melinda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Fanabi Likes the Poodle, Robin Powell, T-Love, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Rosalind Bennett. Have fun tonight, and thank you for your support. I don't know why I decided to do that this time, but I don't know. I'm having fun.